columnist.
Breslin, yeah.
Yeah, Breslin. He refers to women, and when he spells it, it's W-E-M-O-N, which is very close to the way you spell demon. So I kind of looked into that as to maybe he saw women as sort of like a blight to him at first because of the circumstances surrounding one. He lost his adopted mother to cancer. So anytime a woman was in his life, she died. So he figured, what the hell, why not? Because he was told that his mother died in childbirth, which was bullshit. So it's like maybe he just equated, dishonesty and lies and negative things with women at the time. I mean, he says he has nothing against women. And he loved his sister, Rosalind, I think, was like his half-sister. And he had no problem with her or anybody else. It's just those women, I don't know. And the way he spelled it, I don't think that was an accident, is my point. I don't think spelling it that way was an accident.
He was weird enough to do something like that on purpose, I agree.
Well, right.
I mean, he was
Zodiac
weird.
used to do that. The Zodiac used to spell things wrong on purpose. In addition to using coding, he used to spell words wrong on purpose. It's like, this guy knows how to spell that. But he just didn't spell it that way. That's just another parallel he has with Zodiac. And I don't know, I'd almost venture to say he might have been inspired by the Zodiac in maybe a small part because he saw Rosemary's Baby, and I think he's born, 53, and about the time of the Zodiac killings, he would have been,
15, 16?
By the start of the first one, anyway, I think.
Yeah. It was 60s, I know that. So
yeah, mid-60s, definitely, up to, 70. There was one other murder, I think, that happened in, 78 that they attributed to the Zodiac, but after that, nothing. And they never found him, So I think maybe that was, maybe a point of intrigue, because I'm not going to lie, I was intrigued by that. The fact that they never caught Jack the Ripper and the fact that they never caught the Zodiac was interesting to me. So maybe he felt some kind of intrigue, I don't know. But anyway, sorry.
No. Look, this is one of those things where I think we just need to talk about things that maybe other people haven't, and that's okay. Because I think everybody talks about him in a vacuum. But I mean, look at all the other parallels. It's uncanny how many. I mean, to be honest with you, if you take some of the really good serial killers, I mean, put all their qualities together, you get Berkowitz in a lot of ways. I mean, no doubt about it.
He's prototypical. I mean, it is a prototypical serial killer. I mean, he has a method to it. It's kind of thought out, and he takes his time to do it. Right? It's not like it's random. He's ready to do it. He's compelled to do it. Other serial killers, I always go back on Kemper. To me, I always thought Kemper was a pretty prototypical one. They had their method, and Kemper was interesting because when he finally achieved what he wanted to do, he stopped.
Yeah, he was different in that way. I mean, that was definitely an exception to most rules. They would have continued on if they could.
Yeah. Well, Kemper was always a special one to me too.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe that Berkowitz would have continued on too, but then there's the story about the machine gun and whether he would have just taken out a bunch of people first. Who knows what would have happened with him if he didn't get busted? But he got sentenced to 365 years in prison and had his first parole meeting in July 2002, which was denied. And he's been denied repeatedly since then, and I believe he'll be denied forever. But yeah, like Johnny said earlier, he was actually, so first, he went to Sing Sing, which is, Albert Fish went there, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then later on, where he was attacked, like Johnny said, was in Attica prison, which is a well-known prison also.
Yeah, that was a riot there,
stitches,
40
Johnny.
people were killed,
58 stitches and an 8-inch scar as a result of that attack.
Yep.
And then 1987, which is, 9 years after he pleads guilty, he accepts Christ as his personal savior and rededicates his life. And I have to tell you, fellas, I buy that shit as much as I buy that he was a Satanist, because I don't buy either one of them, to be honest with you. He may have been intrigued by what they do, but I don't think he was an actual Satanist practicing, That's just my opinion.
Well, that's fine, but he has a nice website now, so.
The Son of Hope. Let's not forget, anybody that buys that is the Son of Hope.
Obviously, you've been up to horizonsign.org, right? So And that has been updated recently. I mean, I don't know if you followed it, but it used to be a clearly 1999 website with it looked like a 1999. It's been recently updated, rebooted in the past year or so. I don't know. It's all nice and with new fonts and a much better look to it. So he's obviously trying to polish his image a little bit. So
yeah, and I mean, I watched like 7 of those. There's 10 different 10 different sections of this interview, and I watched like 6 or 7. And when he broke down crying, the camera stayed on him for a minute, but then the camera like kind of bowed down and stuff. And when they panned back up to him, he looked. I mean, he seems legitimate. He may have not been an actual Satanist, but he said the whole time, he said, I don't care. To me, I know that I probably won't get out, and even if I have to spend my last dying breath behind prison walls, I will know that when I do die and I finally do get to meet Christ, I will be able to tell him thank you for saving my life on so many different times I should have been dead, and for giving me forgiveness so that I can, see hope in that and not continue to destroy myself over what I did, because that's not the person that I am anymore. I mean, I think that takes if it was an act, I think it takes a lot of balls to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's just me. I grew up in a religious background, so, I mean, I'm not going to say I was biased, but when I found out that he did actually convert, I kind of went and listened to what he said, and he had Bibles with him, and he did quotes, and he wrote this thing for the interview. It was really beautiful. I mean, it kind of made my breath catch in my throat, and I know he's a killer, or he was, and I'm not condoning what he did, but I honestly, and this is where we'll disagree, Travis and Vic probably, but that's okay, but I honestly don't think that he's the same man that he was when they arrested him. I think he's got some treatment, and he's acknowledged he has a mental disorder, and he probably takes medication or gets some kind of treatment for that.
Well, I'm an asshole. I wouldn't even give him a chance. His ass would have been dead. So that's what type of jerk I am.
Well, that's okay. I mean, whatever. To each their own. It takes different strokes to move the world. I'm just saying, it's to me, he seemed legitimate. He may not have been, but he seemed that way. I mean,
it's okay, Blake. Look, if somebody had asked me, I'd tell them that you're a better person than I am. So it's all good. I mean, I'm
not saying I'm better or worse than anybody else. I'm just saying I looked in his eyes, and I kind of looked in his eyes, and I saw lots of regret and shame and fear and sorrow there. I mean, it's not like Albert Fish where you look in his eyes and the last thing he's saying is fuck you, or something like what Gacy or somebody said. I mean, I looked in his eyes, and to me that seemed real. And I'm not excusing what he did. What he did was a terrible, abominable thing. But I mean,
sure. I mean, when you sort of compare him and you put him up against the Panzram of the world, and he's not Panzram, right? Panzram would kill you just as soon as looking at you, and I don't think that was his thing. And I think that, he's probably on medication, and he's probably not the same deranged lunatic that he was 40-some years ago. But still, should he should he roam the earth free? Probably not. Right,
he'll never be free, and he's acknowledged that. They will never let him out. I mean, and George Carlin made a joke about it, and I thought it was funny when it pertains to serial killers. He said, you build up this pool of hopeless people, and the convicts, they're right in the pool with them, and he said, it's like they commit a crime, and the judge gives them this fucking draconian sentence. Like, he said he saw one time a guy got 3 life sentences plus 2 death penalties. He said, how the fuck do you serve that? You'd have to be Lazarus to serve that shit,
Oh yeah, make sure you die every single time that you're supposed to die, sir. So
yes.
All right. So Johnny kind of he mentioned the comparison. We've been doing it this whole show, and guys, I just love the fact that Johnny's on here and that Blake's on here too. Okay, well, first let me tell us a quick story. All right, we had William Harder on for the Toolbox Murders because he met the Toolbox Killers, rather. He met both of them many, many times. It was a really good show. And he talked about when he met Richard Ramirez, he told Richard Ramirez that David Berkowitz was a sellout. And Richard Ramirez kind of looked at him like, yep. You know what I mean? So,
hey, but Richard Ramirez was a Satanist too. Wasn't there like a secret handshake?
And so was William Harder. So yeah, I could see where he's coming from. I just found that whole thing funny. But since we're talking about serial killers, okay, and when I talk about this, because I don't want to include Jack the Ripper and I don't want to go back too far, we'll say of the last, let's say, I don't know, 50 years. And I'm going to ask Vic first, okay? Vic, are you listening, buddy?
Yeah, what's good?
All right, so we've talked about this on the show many times. Vic's tore up, y'all. He is fucking drunk at a casino. Yeah, he is.
He's still pot drunk. That's what it is.
He was about to get upset because Johnny was talking about Panzram, and then he realized that he was saying good things.
I got a little upset. We're good.
All right, so in the last 50 years, sorry, Vic, Panzram's not included because that was longer ago.
That's
and
right.
H.H. Holmes, my favorite, is not included either. But if you had a Mount Rushmore, not your favorite, like the elite of serial killers, the Mount Rushmore of serial killers, and they could be from wherever. And see, I'm not just looking at quantity. I'm talking about media coverage, all that shit. I'm asking Vic first. Vic, what's your Mount Rushmore of serial killers? 50 years.
Bundy, Gacy, Dahmer, and Ramirez.
Good. That's a good, Mount Rushmore right there. That's what I thought it would be. What about you, Johnny?
You said 50 years?
Yep, 50 years.
Damn. All right. Well, I'm going to go with Kemper because I have to go with Kemper. I'll go with Kemper, Dahmer, Bundy, and Gacy.
Oh, so there's two for Bundy, Dahmer, Gacy. So the question is really, and let's see if Blake agrees, because Blake's a little different about things sometimes. We'll have whole lists, and he'll just be completely off the beaten path. But it seems like most people agree it's Bundy, Dahmer, Gacy, and then there's one more. What about you, Blake?
Let's see. Dahmer and Gacy for sure. Okay. Believe it or not, I got to represent my women. I got to put Werenus up there.
Yeah.
And then, Eileen Werenus.
Okay, I thought you said Eileen Wuornos. I was just making sure.
Yeah.
And then Dennis Nilsson. Obviously, I'm going. I have some from around the world. And then, no,
that's not BTK. That's not BTK. Yeah. That's Dennis
shit! I was thinking about Dennis Rader in my head. Sorry.
Dennis Nilsson. That was England. That was London. And then another one that just to me is just absolutely bloodthirsty in the way that he looked and was approached in the media coverage was Chikatilo, for sure. Chikatilo from Russia.
Yeah, but
sure.
You got four. You got four, Blake. You're going over.
Oh, well, isn't there four faces on that?
Yeah, but how old was Chikatilo? So how long ago was Chikatilo?
Oh, he just died in like the 90s or 2000s. He committed his crimes in the 80s.
Yeah.
Blake's drunk. He's more drunk than we are. He can't even.
I am not. I'm telling you, there are four faces. There are four faces on Mount Rushmore, asshole.
Right. You picked five though.
Yeah, true. But I mean, hey,
you gotta get rid of a Russian or a female, one or the other, or Brit.
Oh hell, get rid of the Brit. Fuck it.
Fuck him and his tea. Oh God! All right.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Austin Power.
All right. So I agree with Vic and Johnny. You got to go Bundy, you got to go Gacy, and you got to go Dahmer. And I tell you, Bundy's the lady killer. Sheer numbers, celebrity appeal, death row, interviews, all that shit. Bundy's got to be there. Gacy, he was the killer clown. Do we need any more? Well, how about the people hauling bodies from his house? Everybody's always going to remember this dude kept. It is a urban legend about somebody keeping bodies in their attic because of Gacy. So he's got to be there.
Oh yeah, we share that in common. Right? All of us had Gacy on there for sure.
That was a crawl space, though, right? Remember the quote was, he shouldn't be convicted of anything other than running a cemetery without a license, right? That was his quote.
Was it a morgue or a cemetery? Because I've heard both.
It was a cemetery.
Okay. And then the third one, and I got to agree with you guys, maybe it's because I grew up during it, but Dahmer, I feel like, was, even though he's not the worst cannibal that ever lived, he's definitely the most well-known. And they're making another movie about him.
I would put Fish as the worst cannibal.
But not in the last 50 years. So,
no, not in the last 50 years,
Yeah, but Dahmer's the most well-known, and I just feel like he should be there. Now, the question is, you know who else should be there, but he's not technically a serial killer, so I can't put him there.